the bases dropped on a new edition of Soccer Down here. It's a Friday. It is a frantic Freestyle Friday with lots of things going on today. We're going to bounce around the world in the first 30 minutes. Then we've got Mike Conti and Kevin Egan joining in the second 30 minutes. Then we've got MLS Week 2 and fantasy and all of that in the last 60 minutes. And then we're out at 11 o'clock today. So it's jam-packed. It's going to be frantic. It's going to be crazy. John, are you ready?
Dialed up, ready to go, and there you go. We're ready. When the cup is ready, the Mountain Dew will be ready to go. So this is how much we have to play with right here for those watching on the Twitch pits. A fairly full 2-liter is ready to go.
That's a little disturbing. Jarrett Smith, are you ready?
As ready as I'll be.
Which isn't very ready.
No, that doesn't sound very ready, Jarrett. I don't know how to feel about this.
You shouldn't feel anything about it. What you should do is tell me about last night.
Last night was fun. We were at Pontoon Brewing in Sandy Springs. Great to see some of the longtime Soccer Down Here listeners, the brand new Soccer Down Here listeners, talk Atlanta United, talk about the news yesterday, and we'll get into that here at 9:30 with Mike and Kevin about Tony Annan, about Mateos Hosechu. We got a few things in the Atlanta front to talk about ahead of Atlanta and Chicago. We'll save that. We'll get into it. But great turnout, a lot of fun, lots of great questions from the crowd. Great talking to Russia Union and having Neil McNabb Jr. on with us and talking about his history in the Atlanta soccer scene and everything he's seen kind of change over the last 5 to 10 years. It was a very good conversation, lots of fun. The other good thing, Jarrett, that I discovered last night was Red Bull's Summer Edition is out. It's exciting. It's green.
What? Okay, yeah, it's green. So is Ecto Cooler. What is Summer Edition?
It is dragon fruit.
Okay.
I never know how to take that. But
Me either.
Say, what exactly is dragon fruit, sir?
Well,
it's an actual fruit.
It's an actual fruit. It's a fruit, John. It's a fruit. I know you're afraid of fruits and vegetables.
It's a fruit. John's not going to know this.
That's
true.
That's
why I'm asking.
It's a good point. It is a real fruit called a dragon fruit. So it's pretty tasty. It's not watermelon level. That's like goat level of Red Bull, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So that was exciting to discover.
Fruit looks like the kind of thing you would pick up in a game of Mario.
Okay.
That's a good one. Yeah. Is it better than the dark blue one? Z-Walk asks. Yeah, right now I'd put it above the blueberry. That's kind of low on my power rankings, though.
See, I still love the peach one.
The peach is really good.
So consistent.
The peach is really good. I go watermelon, I go coconut, then peach. Dragon fruit probably slides in at number 4 for me.
Peach is the 2017 Carlos Carmona of Red Bulls for me.
That's the goat tier?
Oh, I haven't had the other ones.
You haven't had the watermelon?
Or watermelon.
What's wrong with you, Jarrett?
I don't drink a ton of Red Bull.
Yeah, I know, but you have to try the
Because if
watermelon.
I drink it after like 2 p.m., I'm going to be up all night, and then I got a gremlin that wakes up before 7 a.m. and wants to hang out.
Ron is yelling at all of us. He says the yellow can overall. I went back and had a yellow citrus one, Ron, recently because of your shouts, and it's solid. It's 4 or 5. Like I think I want to see how the dragon fruit is over some time. Right now, it's nice because it's different. We'll see. Enough of the Red Bulls power rankings. We can always get into that later. We got too much to get into today. We're going to bounce around the leagues in Europe, the leagues around the world. Get ready for what the weekend is going to look like. In England, it starts with Arsenal and Everton today. And I guess now we're having another fight about the Arsenal fan situation, and are the fans unhappy, and do they want the team to lose so they have more things to talk about? I mean, this whole thing is such a sideshow to a team that's 9th in the table right now. 13 wins, 12 losses. They're pretty average. I like Mikel Arteta. I like what he said about the game. I like what I think he wants to do. Is he going to be able to do it? Is there heat on him? You know, I mean, you look at the last 5, it's 2 wins, it's 2 draws, it's a loss. It's not bad, but it's not where this club, as a former Super League member, expects to be, right?
Yeah.
You know, the conversation about Ole feels far more negative than it is about Arteta. And they're separated by 20 points in the table. I'm not saying either one should be feeling the pressure that I think people throw at them. But is there any on Arteta at this point? Or does he just not have the team to do what he wants to do, John?
I would hope it's the latter. I think that you get Arteta through this season, you work in the summer window, you try to bring in players that Arteta wants when it comes to what his philosophy and how he wants it executed on the field. I just think that they're a year away, and I know that everybody who's an Arsenal fan overseas, I saw a lot of the hashtag Kroenke out yesterday in the last couple of days. The biggest thing for me is that you've got to give Mikel Arteta time to do things in the style that he wants to do. I just think that right now, when you look at a David Luiz who is 72 years old, and you have Willian who is a part of the rotations there as well. I think that you need to be younger, and I think that you need to give Arteta time. You still got to figure out what you want to do with Aubameyang and Lacazette. And you don't know which one of those you're going to get on any given day. And so I think there are a lot of decisions that need to be made about the personnel in the offseason so Arteta can figure out who he wants to bring in and integrate with who he wants to keep so they can do better next season.
You get hung up on David Luiz, and he's not the issue. Their average age of their lineup against Fulham was 25 years old. This isn't an old team. I just don't think it's a team built for Mikel Arteta, to be honest. I think he's got issues with some of the players that have not worked out for him. I don't think we've seen the best of him. I'd like to see them give him time because I think he could really take them places, but they're going to have to give him some ability to make the changes that he needs to make. What I was mentioning earlier, Ron, the arguments about, I think Talk Sport and Arsenal Fan TV decided to get into it today for, I guess, to entertain all of us. And these accusations that Arsenal Fan TV want the team to lose for clicks and this and that, and the toxicity sometimes of coverage of teams. And it's a thing that happens to everybody. I think Arsenal Fan TV, being as high profile as they are, maybe take the brunt of it more than others because every team's got that kind of a thing. Every team's got that kind of a presence in the new media world. And I can tell you here, in terms of clicks, there are bumps immediately when Atlanta United's not playing well. Our numbers go up because people are engaged. Now, it's generally short term. If the team is doing well over a period of time, they stay consistently up. If there is a bad result, it is an immediate spike in our numbers. And we're not doing those things. Like, that's not our style. And that's not to say it's right or wrong. That's just not how we operate. So it does happen where there is immediate interest when a team is struggling. And you can stoke that and you can foster that if you want. I don't pay enough attention to them to be able to tell you what they do and what they don't do. But it is something that does happen. And I think people get really sensitive about it. So I don't think Arsenal fans in general want the team to do poorly, but I do think they're conflicted in how they feel about this. And Ron, you're the Arsenal fan here today. When it comes to Arteta, do you want to see him have more time? Do you think he's the right guy? Do you think he is? I know negativity sells, Percy. I know it's crazy. It's shocking. But it's true. And if you want to continue to feed it, you continue to try to sell it for a while. But then I think there is an expiration date on it. I really think there is an expiration date on it. Ron wants ownership changes and ownership to invest and all of that. And that's going to be a whole nother story, as we've talked about with all of this over time, is you might want an ownership change, but is there going to be a better owner out there for you? And that's the hard part right now, especially in the midst of a pandemic. Jarrett, I mean, you can speak to this, I think, from a Celtic perspective, because now they're having a negative kind of year. And what is the vibe among Celtic, maybe, I don't want to say fan media because it's more than that. It's taken more seriously than just being a fan and throwing opinions out there. But what is the vibe there, and has it turned negative and trying to feed the negativity?
See, I think it's worse than negativity is that it took a step that you don't want it to take beyond that, and it turned to apathy in some aspects, which is not good.
No.
Mm-hmm.
That's worse. It went from everybody was angry in December going into January. You had a little bit of a turn just before you went to Dubai where you played better than Rangers and you lost the game on an own goal, but you were on the day, you were better than Rangers for 90 minutes. And then you went to Dubai and everything fell apart. And everybody went from being angry to just being like, whatever, just get the year over with and put us out of our misery. And we'll deal with the rest of it, next year. That apathy is more dangerous. And I think it's tougher to crawl out of it in a reasonable amount of time than just the raw anger of, getting frustrated at things like with Mikel Arteta. For me personally, Arteta, it's kind of like watching, with the pressure on him, it's kind of like watching someone walk around with ankle weights for so long that they no longer think about the weight, and it's just how they operate. Because it feels like that's what the pressure is. It's always going to be there, whether it should be or not. And I don't know what they're going to do in terms of getting things fixed this summer and finding the good grabs when you can get them for a relatively cheaper price as the market kind of tries to figure out what it is. This summer market's going to be weird because we don't know what the state of the world is going to be by June. And God only knows what the prices are going to look like for players. We know that there's, the Erling Haaland sweepstakes, assuming, Dortmund sells him. I think they would. But then the knock-on effect is, what's the price for everyone else in the second tier, in the third tier? What is Arsenal able to do? What are a lot of clubs able to do with how much money they might have to work with to try and improve their teams, especially teams that aren't like a Man City or a Manchester United or even a Liverpool. I mean, Liverpool's got plenty of guys on roster who are good. They're just all injured, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I don't know how this summer shakes and how the opinions and the anger changes and shifts this summer. Because are you going to look at it and say, well, we need a bunch of guys and we got a couple of guys, but we got big names, or we're going to go and get some guys you might not have heard of, but who could be really good and we got on a deal. How much patience do you have as a fan base to kind of let that happen?
Arsenal realistically needs to look at the teams in the top 10 that they can emulate easily this summer, and not in style of play, but in the types of purchases. Leeds, I think Everton did really good shopping last year. They got somebody like Hummus on a free, which is an incredible gift, but yeah, they pulled that off. West Ham, Leicester, not huge spending teams that put good players on the field that, again, like you said, Jarrett, maybe you haven't heard of. They're not Erling Haaland. They're not Kylian Mbappe. But you can win with that. And I think Mikel Arteta can do better than ninth with that. And they got to refresh this squad, in my opinion. They got to do that. They have to do that. In the table, I'm going to ask both of you guys this. Manchester City, 77 points, 11 clear. Manchester United, I think those two are locked into 1 and 2. Leicester's in a pretty good spot with a 4-point cushion in third. Fourth place, final Champions League spot. Chelsea's there now on 55. West Ham's also on 55, but less goal differential. Tottenham's on 53. Liverpool's on 53. Everton's got a game in hand on 49. Who gets the final Champions League spot? John.
Chelsea.
Jarrett?
I'm going to say Chelsea, but I don't feel good about it. But I think it's what's going to happen. But it's like, I'm like 55-45 in my head thinking about it.
I think it's Chelsea. The one that it could be, if it's not, I think could be Liverpool.
Yeah.
But I think it's Chelsea. Ropes is saying West Ham in the chat. I think it's Chelsea because I think they can hold on to what they have. I don't know if they drop more points than West Ham, Tottenham, Liverpool, Everton. I think they're going to take it. But they will have Champions League to deal with along the way. They do have another cup final along the way after defeating Manchester City, so they will have distractions that others won't. Does that catch up to them? Is that maybe that 45% you're a little worried about, Jared? That's where I'm at.
Yes. That's where my head is at. Is you have all of these things, and let's say you go out and have a great result in the first leg for Champions League. If you have a great result in that first leg, I think you're going to punt whatever you might have in the midweek or on the weekend with, Premier League, if that means getting you to a final. Because at that point, I think you punt whatever you have in the league, and not to say that you put on a bunch of U17s.
Oh, I don't think you can.
Hmm?
I don't think you can. That Champions League spot, when you look at Chelsea's finances, it factors in. Again, you got to bring up the money thing.
Yeah.
They are in a lot of debt for whatever reason. I don't know if it's, tricky bookmaking with, or tricky bookkeeping with Roman Abramovich and crew. I don't know. They've got more debt than anybody in England right now in those top teams, and they spent a ton of money last summer. They need that Champions League money next year.
Mm-hmm.
They do.
I hate to say maybe more than they need, a rested team in leg 2 of a semifinal. I think they need that money for next year more.
Yeah.
It's a weird position to play because let's say you win leg 1, like 2-0, 3-0, 3-1. You get into a final. You're in a position to go into a final where if you win it, you're going to Champions League anyway again. It's just such a weird situation to be in, but yeah, I'm not saying you punt it in the sense that you put like U17s out there, but I think you're going to have to rotate. I think you would have to rotate at least a little bit. And I do have concerns that they would drop points somewhere, and not so much that they're going to tank it, but of the teams chasing them, one of them isn't going to drop points. That's more of my concern.
Right. It's going to be a fun race. Go ahead.
Well, and just remember the first step in all of this is that the two of them square off against each other at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon, and so I think that, and Chelsea is the prohibitive favorite right now, so that's why I'm leaning Chelsea. I think that first step for Chelsea to separate themselves from somebody like West Ham happens tomorrow.
Yeah, it very well could. Let's look at La Liga. Atleti with 6 games left, 73 points. Real Madrid 70 points. Barcelona has a game in hand on 68 points. Sevilla's still in the mix, too, on 67 points. They've got 6 games left. You're much further back than to the other European qualifiers with Real Sociedad, Real Betis, 50 points, 49 points. Atleti has bounced back with a couple wins in league play. Real Madrid somehow keeps not losing and mostly winning games. Barcelona as well, 4 wins out of the last 5. Sevilla's won 4 in a row. This one looks like it's going to go down to the wire, and I don't know who comes away with it.
Yeah, I look at it, and it to me, Barcelona with that match in hand. You assume that they would get the Duke in that one. That would put them back in second at 71, or 1 point ahead of Real Madrid. Let's just put it that way, considering whenever that happens. And so you're looking at 3 teams, once they get the same number of matches under their belt, separated by 3 points. I have no idea. And I think you're right. I think right now it's going to be a great watch. Mm-hmm. But I think that for those of us who are the casual fans and not attached to any one of those 3 sides, but I think it's going to be a great watch all the way to the end. I have no clue.
This weekend, Real Madrid hosts Real Betis, who is in 6th place. Betis has not lost in their last 5. They've got 4 straight draws, though. So Madrid might have their hands full. Barcelona goes to Villarreal, who 3 wins, 2 losses in their last 5, who's in 7th place, one of the better teams in the league. Sevilla hosts Granada. Granada is in 8th place. They've won back-to-back games, but Sevilla gets that at home. They could continue their winning streak. And Atleti goes to Athletic Bilbao, who's in 10th, but they've drawn 5 in a row. They're a very scrappy team with 11 draws on the season. That's not going to be an easy trip for Atleti. So you could see Atleti drop points. You could see Real Madrid potentially drop points. You could see Barcelona maybe in a good spot, but they got to go on the road. Sevilla, I think, gets a win, and then it could get even closer in Spain as we get closer to the end of the season.
Larger favorite of those four right now is Sevilla at a minus 233. Then it's Real Madrid at a minus 200. Barca minus 145. Atletico Madrid at Bilbao is the short one right now at a minus 106.
The drama in the Bundesliga is not at the top. Bayern is on 71 points. I think a win this weekend, and they clinch it for the 9th straight time. RB Leipzig, 10 points back. They're in second. They have a 4-point lead in second over Wolfsburg. Eintracht Frankfurt is on 56 in 4th place. You're back 4 points to Dortmund on 52, who is on the outside looking in at Champions League spots. There are 4 games left. Does Dortmund qualify for the Champions League next year? They've won 3 in a row now in league. Eintracht Frankfurt has won 2 of their last 3. They lost the other one.
Okay, so what Dortmund has left is Wolfsburg tomorrow, RB Leipzig, Mainz, and Leverkusen. I don't know. They're going to have. I think that it's going to come down to that RB Leipzig match on May the 8th. That's going to be the indicator for me. They've got to. I think they have to win that one. They might have to run. They might have to run the table for it to be Dortmund.
I think they will. I don't think they qualify. I think 4 points with Eintracht Frankfurt where they are, what Dortmund has left. I don't know if they do run the table. I think that's what it'll take. Jarrett, do you think we have our top 4 in Germany, or can Dortmund pull a surprise?
I think you get your top 4 in Germany. Although maybe since Dortmund's out of Champions League, they can try and lean into it, but I just don't know if they've got the time.
Yeah, I don't think they do. Johannes throws some fire into the chat and says his own personal drama in the Bundesliga Twitter today is a commentator saying Tottenham has better quality players than RB Leipzig. He is shaking his head about this. Are you shaking your head, Jared?
I didn't know Germany had a Stephen A. Smith.
I guess they do. I guess they do.
Yeah.
I think that the top of Tottenham's roster is very, very good. I've said how I feel about Harry Kane. I think he is one of the absolute best. I think he's absolutely one of the best. And you got questions about guys like Gareth Bale and Dele Alli and what's going on there. It's a big drop-off. Son is right there, too. I think RB Leipzig from top to bottom is a maybe much better roster. But Harry Kane is a special player. Son is a special player. At that level, okay, I can understand it, but that's 2 guys out of a whole roster. I'm not buying it from
maybe he's
from
trying to
top
convince RB Leipzig to buy both of them for Spurs in the summer.
Red Bull doesn't spend money like that. They're not going to go down that road. They are doing
they
things.
Might spend that amount over 3 or 4 years,
but not on guys like that. Not on guys like that.
No, I'm saying, yeah, no, it's a joke.
No, okay. but what I was going to say is RB Leipzig is doing things a little differently now. They're not just buying guys and selling guys to maximize profit. Like a guy like Sabitzer, they might keep him and run the contract down on him, try to re-sign him, but they might be willing to keep him, let him walk on a free to get another year out of him, as opposed to just selling him because you have to. That is a little bit of a difference in the strategy. That's been talked about in some of the German media over the last few months. I'll be curious to see if they do that. I mean, Sabitzer would bring in a nice transfer fee, but he'd also be a really important player for them next year. And Tottenham's one of the clubs who's actually been linked to him, so we'll see where that one could go. Before we get Mike and Kevin on, let's look at France real quick, because this is the best race in Europe. Lille on 70, PSG on 69, Monaco on 68, Lyon on 67. 3 Champions League spots in France, not 4. So one of them is missing out. They're separated by 3 points, 4 teams. It's ridiculous. They've only got 5 games left. They've all played 33 games. So this weekend, what do we have for the contenders? You got PSG going to Metz who is in 9th place, has not won in their last 5. You have
Lyon and Lille.
Lyon and Lille, which will be a huge game. That's on Sunday at 3 o'clock. That is possibly a must-watch. And Monaco is at Angers. Angers is 12th place. They haven't won in their last 5. So you're looking at PSG and Monaco going on the road where things can get a little weird, but they should take care of the opponents they have. And then you got 2 of the other teams playing one another. It is in Lyon. Lille has to go on the road. Out of those teams, in terms of current form, Monaco's won 4 in a row. PSG's won 2 in a row. Lille drew their last one, but hasn't lost in their last 3. Lyon hasn't lost in their last 3. They've won 2 in a row as well. I have no idea where this one goes, but it's been fun to watch. PSG's comeback win last week was bonkers in the last 15 minutes. Whole bunch of goals from both teams in the last 15. Mbappe was awesome at the end of that. We'll see if PSG can get it done. I'm not convinced they do, and the crazy thing is if they slip just a little bit, they miss out on Champions League next year.
Yeah. PSG, obviously, prohibitive favorite. Lyon is a plus 108. Lille on the road is a plus 264. I think that margin's a bit on the big side. But in looking at the run-in for Lyon, Lyon's next 2 are Lille and Monaco. And then they finish with Lorient, Nimes, and Nice. And so I think that, once again, it's those first 2 for me where Lyon is concerned where I think we're going to get a good gauge as to how Lyon's going to finish because you anticipate them winning those final 3.
Jarrett, final question for you before we bid you adieu for at least now. I'll give you PSG or I'll give you the field. Who wins the Ligue 1 title?
Field.
You feel good about any of those teams specifically, or just you'll take 3 against 1?
I'll take 3 against 1 in PSG porting their good performances in the Champions League.
That's a good call. That's going to be a tough balancing act for PSG. We'll keep an eye on it.
It is. And I'm going to leave you with this.
Okay. That's right. I'm scared.
Find out where. Good luck trying to find out where Cholo might manage next year, because if Atletico Madrid doesn't win the league, maybe they make a change and you got a big name manager sitting out there.
There's a few of them. It could get really interesting. We will see where that goes. Jarrett, we might talk to you later. If not, we'll talk to you this weekend on the Salty Takeaway.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, adios. All right, Mateo's got some work to do, so bear with SDH Mateo for just a minute because we are doing a double substitution here with Mike Conti joining and Kevin Egan joining. And it's always good while I'm trying to get these things done, helping Mateo out in the background when John starts typing.
Well, at least I'm typing on a quieter keyboard now.
Well, that's good. It's a step in the right direction. Mateo's going for the double substitution. Let's see how this one goes. I have faith in Mateo. I think he can pull it off. And hopefully we will have video of both of our substitutions of Mike and Kevin as they join us now. I hear one of them coming in.
Can Mateo do this? This is the $1 million question.
I have faith in Mateo. This is a bold double substitution. You don't normally see these happen this early in a match.
No, that is true.
What's going on, guys? Kev here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh!
Let's see if we can get video for everybody up on the screen on Twitch.
Oh, a fatal 4-way. I can sense it.
Almost.
Why is it's
except
saying
for
no
Kevin.
Device found on my camera. Every time I come on this show, I have sort of technical issue.
Every time. Every single time. It's awesome.
I'd like to say it's unprecedented scenes, but not the case, Jason.
Well, it's funny because, Kevin, I usually give you more faith when it comes to technology than John, but I think that bar has been set lower now.
Wow. I've never had an issue with my camera turning on.
I always have issues with my camera at the most inopportune times. Like if I have an appointment, I do a lot of stuff with Channel 46 on the weekends, and it never fails. Like the one time I have to go on with 46 at a set time, and I'm running a little bit late, and I run up to my computer, and wouldn't you know it, my camera is not found. And my
there with you, brother.
Yeah, and my computer is on the floor, so I have to unplug everything to unplug and replug the USB. It's like always the worst possible time when that happens for me. Always.
Let's try a different camera here once.
Oh, that's how it goes. Told you it was a bold double substitution.
The alarming part of this is John's a radio guy. Jason's a radio guy. Jason's a everything media guy. I'm a radio guy. The radio guys are lucky with the cameras today. The TV guy, Kevin, is having the camera issue.
That's accurate.
I'm going to do my favorite John and Jason sound.
That's right. That is correct.
All right, John, I wish one of you guys could see this. I've got some sort of, come on, you want to work. Just work. Choose background effect. I don't need a background effect. Just show me the camera.
People are giving you yellow cards in the Twitch pitch, Kevin.
I deserve a straight red right now.
This is a recital of what John says every time he's trying to turn on his stovetop.
Yes. Oh, there's Kevin Egan.
There we go.
There's one.
I'm working.
There it is.
We got
yeah?
you.
All right. I don't know if it's framed properly or whatever, but
it's fine. It'll do. We can see you.
How are we?
We're good. We're getting ready for a home opener, guys. This is I was talking about it last night on our live show, and it's going to be weird because we've all called games from an empty stadium. We've all called games from a not empty but very small crowd stadium, and there's going to be a roar tomorrow that, well, we haven't heard in over 12 months. It's going to be pretty cool.
Jason, I swear to you, I was going to call in a couple of weeks ago or the first Alajuelense match. I tuned into you guys, and to hear you guys actually previewing a match, just talking about a game again, it just gave me chills. And now the fact that you add fans to Mercedes-Benz Stadium tomorrow, like you said, 20-odd thousand fans that we just didn't see last year. It felt empty last year. There was something really sad about the sight of a few thousand people inside that magnificent stadium. So tomorrow is going to be class. And the fact that Chicago plays such open ball and Atlanta will do the same lends to a really exciting game.
It's going to be 20,000, but it'll sound like way more. And I think, when you get to 50% of capacity, where if you envision, like, if you have pods of 2 seats and pods of 4 seats, it's going to look like basically every other seat is filled. If everyone does their job and is standing anyway, like we should for 90 minutes, it's going to look completely full, and it's going to sound completely full too. So the one thing I'm hoping is that we get like somewhat of a break in the weather and they're able to maybe open the roof tomorrow. I know they want to do that if the weather cooperates. That I think would enhance the atmosphere as well. But it's going to be totally different. I mean, think back to that Nashville match that we called in late August where the stadium was completely empty and they were trying to pipe in a little bit of artificial noise. It just felt so empty. And I think tomorrow, for all of us who are involved in our respective broadcasts, I think our hearts are going to be very full because it's just going to feel a lot closer to normal than anything we had post March 11th last year.
Guys, think about this. This kind of made it a little scary for me. The last time Joseph Martinez scored a goal at Mercedes-Benz Stadium was 544 days ago. Wow. Think about the world 544 days ago and what's happened since. Like, Joseph scoring at Mercedes-Benz Stadium seems so normal for all of us.
Right.
Yeah, what's happened since then, what's transpired around the planet since then, it's just remarkable to think about, the gap, 544 days and what's happened since. I just can't wait for that feeling. It's coming tomorrow. That pink hair don't care. Get out there, bang them in against Chicago. Buzzing to see the Venezuelan do it.
All right, so Mike, let me start with you with this one. How would you best describe Chicago? Underrated, underappreciated, under the radar? What under would fit with Chicago the best, do you think? Because it's just like they seem to be just kind of hanging below the surface. And then when you get them, it's like, oh, I didn't expect this from Chicago. But everybody who's been watching has been seeing a very dangerous front six.
Maybe misunderstood, if I can.
Yeah, you got the under and you shifted it. That's it.
Misunderstood because they're good and they do have a lot of quality. They have a lot of quality all over the pitch. They have a couple really savvy veterans who I think probably provide some very, very good vocal leadership for them. They're threatening in the attack, but they're also a little bit tough to break down. And this is something that Jason and I were talking about earlier in the week. If you look at Atlanta United's recent history against Chicago Fire, this is a side that Atlanta United has struggled with. It's a side that blew them out in Bridgeview in July of 2019, which was forever ago. And both teams have changed substantially since then. Both teams have new manager. In fact, Atlanta United's on their second new manager since that happened. Chicago has a new manager. Chicago, from a personnel standpoint, has changed a lot as well. But, Beric, Stojanovic, they've got some really threatening forwards that I think, as Kevin said, it'll enable Chicago to play wide open and be very, very fun to watch tomorrow. And I'm going to be very curious to see how this Atlanta United backline, which has played so beautifully in their first three competitions, will deal with this type of challenge, because I think it's going to be pretty robust.
Yeah, they're a dynamic team. There's no doubt about it. Going forward, they love to get Bornstein and Sekulic as far forward as possible. They play with width in a similar way to Atlanta United. You look through, most games from last weekend, there's a lot of teams that love to play centrally. And Atlanta United, Gabriel Heinze, there's several things that you can compare to Tata, I suppose. One of them is width. He'll try and play with width the majority of the time, from what I can gather, and with fullbacks and wingers. Like Mulroney's average position last week was wide. Like, he's staying wide. Moreno on the other side too. With Chicago, the hard part is the first 20 minutes, first 15 minutes, they looked absolutely sensational in the game against New England. That goal was Beric's goal, the team goal, was was the best goal of the weekend. And there were some absolute golazos, brilliant crackers last weekend. The best team goal was Chicago's. And they can do that, yet then they can just completely switch off. And this has been the case for Chicago for a long, long time. I used to call the Chicago Fire games for 3.5 years. And, my dad would always joke, because some teams, say over in Ireland, would be 3-0 up and draw 3-3. And my dad would be like, oh, they did a fire. And that's been for a long, long time. Fire fans will tell you all about it. The club has frustrated the fans so much in several areas. One of them, letting Georgi Mihailovic go. Sure, it's a decent amount of money to Montreal, but this is a kid that signed a homegrown deal. This is a kid that was there since I remember he was a kid watching training when he was 14 years of age, and he'd be on the sideline watching training. And there's something special about when you bring through a George Bello, you don't just let him go. You got to keep these ties closer to the club. Harry Shipp was another example of someone who burst onto the scene, and then similar path went to Montreal, and then went on to Seattle. Chicago, it needs to click. I think the ownership, Mansueto, will do a good job there. They're back at Soldier Field, which is a huge plus, because we've been to Bridgeview. They really felt at Bridgeview they'd build up that whole area. It never happened, and they'd make a success of that move. Never happened. And now they've got a good young coach. I do think Rafalowicki's a good, intelligent manager with core pieces that are there. Beric is a wonderful signing. But defensively, Kappelhoff can't stay fit. Right. Pineda's not the answer. I think he's playing out of position. And Calvo's a liability. Calvo's a good ball player. In pre-season, he looked excellent. Spraying passes out of the back, looked like that vocal leader you mentioned. Yet, at times, he just seems so far apart from the other centre-back. He tends to chase. And I just feel there's going to be opportunities. If Atlanta United can get into a bit of a track meet with Chicago, if Chicago want to come play, Atlanta could tear Chicago apart defensively. But they will cause Atlanta United problems. This may be Atlanta United's stiffest test so far in terms of keeping that clean sheet again.
Yeah, I like Pineda for Chicago, but I don't think he's a good pair with Calvo at all, because of Calvo running around going everywhere. I think he needs somebody like Kappelhoff, but then Kappelhoff can't stay healthy, and you're going to play Calvo, so Pineda gets kind of caught. He's not a match for either one of the guys. I'll go with your under thing, John. I'll go undercooked, because I don't think they're ready yet. I think Chicago's still a work in progress. They are really good in the front six. Beric is as good of a forward as you're going to find in this league. Aliseda, if he's healthy, can be one of the best wingers in the league. The three in the midfield, that trio is as good as you'll find in the league, with Medran, Jimenez, and now Stojanovic. That part's great. Love that part of the team. But the back line, when you can put them under pressure and make them defend, you take away some of the things that make Bornstein and Sekulic good players. They can't get forward. And that's what Atlanta did to Orlando. Go back and look at Juan, who's a great player attacking for Orlando. He couldn't really get out of his own half very much because you get them pinned in with Moreno, and if it's Mulroney, if it's Dom, whoever it is on the right side, staying so high and so wide, it fixes those outside backs and makes them stay. And then they can't join the attack. And if you can pin Chicago in and make them defend on their heels, I don't think they can play that way. I don't think they know how to play that way.
I look forward to seeing Atlanta United click. And I think it's going to happen. Like when I say click, I just mean in terms of converting on the chances they're creating. That stat that I'm sure you've all seen about the 11 shots and 10 different players getting shots off for Atlanta United. That's a wild statistic and a really positive statistic to delve into. The fact that you're getting Bello and Brooks Lennon in these positions to get shots off. The goals will fall for Joseph, for Lisandro Lopez. But traditionally, over the course of their careers, these are facts, you know, Jake Mulroney's never scored more than 2 goals in a league season. Marcelino Moreno's never scored more than 3 goals in a league season. Ezequiel Barco has never scored more than, is it 4 his total in a league season? Certainly for Atlanta United it is. Jurgen Damm's never scored more than 5. So we want to see wingers. We want to see creative midfielders. I said this to you before, Jason. I wouldn't be surprised if Emerson Hyndman, you know, hits double digits in goals this season because he's excellent at those late runs into the box. He's really intelligent, and also I'm massively intrigued by Matheus Rossetto this season because I still don't know what he is. Right, he's an incredibly talented footballer, but I don't know. He's not going to be a Santiago Sosa because that's his position nailed down now. No one's touching him. Mm-hmm. So then, if you're playing Barco centrally, is Rossetto that other player in midfield where Hyman's playing? And he could be. He could be, but I definitely want to see a bit more steel from him. I want him, and Heinz is going to be the man to take it out of him. I really believe that. Like, Rossetto may be the most talented player we have in our squad. It just in terms of his
super
first
technical.
touch, his spatial awareness, everything about his game. He's your classic, like, uber talented player that if you can just add that winning mentality to him, that like, I know it sounds stupid to say, but I kind of want to see him get a yellow card. I want to see him burst someone in a tackle. I want to see him.
You want that streak of nasty there.
I want to see a bit of Joseph in him. Yeah, I want to see a bit of Ibarra in him. You know, and let him take his game to another level because he certainly has the talent. And great news about his green card.
Yes.
I mean, now, you know, Mike, let's talk about Atlanta United's back line, and now you're adding Alan Franco to the mix. And this is a good thing. And we were talking about this last night, and we've been talking about it all week. You're adding Alan Franco to the mix. But now you have this set 4 that is in rhythm. And I think that with schedule compression and multiple competitions, obviously that's going to be hanging off to the side. But with Alan Franco now being integrated, do you sit there and ride with the 4 that you've been riding with consistently over time, or are you integrating Franco here as a part of this mix now? Do you go with the 4 that you've had so far?
Probably the biggest question about Heinze's selection tomorrow is going to hinge on that. And I really like what Heinze said yesterday. Someone asked him, you know, look, you play Saturday, Tuesday. Are you going to possibly start thinking about rotating? And Heinze said, no, I'm going to pick my best team. I'm not a coach that rotates. I'm going to pick my best team for every match. I love hearing that. Anton Walkes has been phenomenal and is in rhythm, as you said, and probably has developed a little bit of chemistry with Miles Robinson, but a player of Alan Franco's quality cannot be kept off the pitch. So it's a good dilemma to have, but I think this is the biggest lineup question tomorrow. Does Alan Franco, if he is 90 minutes fit, and that is a big if, is he going to crack the starting 11? And if so, who comes out? Because I think you could make a case for giving Miles Robinson a night off, too. Walkes has been that good. But again, this is a good dilemma to have. It's a really, really good dilemma to have, and it's going to be a luxury to have either a Robinson, a Walkes, or a Franco available to come off your bench.
You know what I'd love to know? I don't know if there's a mechanism to find out the answer for this that's relatively easy. But I'd love to know, was it the first time in Atlanta United history that all of the back 4, and then you include Santiago Sosa in that as well, were over 90% pass completion in a game? Yeah. All of them. All 5 of those, and he slots in as a centre back. I doubt that's ever happened before.
The only other one I can think of would be that Chicago game in 2017 where they had a red card in like the 5th minute.
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably, you could be onto something there. But this was away against Orlando. This was away against one of the best teams in the East last year, and a side that will absolutely compete this year. And that, for me, was one of the most pleasing things, that under pressure, these guys were choosing the right passes. The decision-making was spot on. And it's just one of those numbers that I always chat to players about, because unless you play in a Sam Allardyce team, and unless you're told to dump it and to chase, like you're playing hockey, you know, players pride themselves on completing their passes. It sounds so simple, but my buddy Richie Ryan, I chat to him about it all the time. He's like, if I'm below 90%, I'm annoyed at myself. But 90% is really hard to find if you're playing in that Santiago Sosa role, because he does take chances and he absolutely takes risks. So that for me was hugely impressive, and I'm intrigued to see how that can continue. For Bello to be put in that situation where you're receiving the ball at pace and you've got to find the right pass. Brooks Lennon, same thing.
How about Atlanta United as a team, Kevin? 88% on Saturday, 88% the prior Tuesday against Alajuelense, 88% in the first half pre-red card down in Costa Rica against Alajuelense, and then after the red card, I think it was 69 in the second half. So that your point is correct about the back line, but I mean, I think that's a remarkable statistic, and I think that's reassuring for people who are concerned about only one goal in open play. I mean, the fact is that all the ingredients are there right now. You've just got to convert and get into some more dangerous spots. But everything is connecting. Probably, and I've said this a few times, it feels like, in a way, from a continuity standpoint, these guys might even be a little bit ahead of schedule, considering all of the changes that have been implemented over the last 8 to 10 weeks. The fact that they are that connected, I think, is a really, really positive sign.
Yeah, I loved hearing Jake Mulroney. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Jake Mulroney was on 92.9 this past week, maybe Tuesday, and he spoke about the intensity. They said, what has Gabriel Heinze brought to the team? And he said it's like another 20% of intensity to the group. And with intensity, we all know this, in any walk of life, in any industry, with that intensity comes focus. Mm-hmm. And that focus, you're gonna really focus on playing the right pass and making sure that you're making the right decisions in games.
And I also think with the intensity comes confidence, because you've put the hay in the barn. You know you've done the work now that you need to put in to get the reward. One thing that I'm hearing a lot of players say in their media availabilities this year that I have not really heard in the past, when Moreno was asked about Chicago yesterday, when Miles was asked last week about Orlando, I think someone asked Miles a question, Orlando's probably going to play 2 up top. How are you going to deal with that? Miles said, I mean, yeah, we get it, but we're going to want Orlando to play, basically the way that we want them to play. We're going to dictate terms of this match. We're going to dictate the tempo. We're going to make them adjust to us. I love that. And I think there's a sense of confidence with this team that I have not really heard in at least a calendar year, maybe longer. And I think a lot of it is a product of just the hard work that they have been putting in since February 24th. Not to demean any other team in the league and the amount of work that they've put in, but from what we have heard and the very little that we have seen, it has been a next level amount of work on the training ground for Atlanta United this fall.
A lot of
very
work
little that we've heard.
Yeah,
right.
That too. There's that.
Don't get me started on that.
A lot of work on the not just the pitch either at the training ground. A lot of work in terms of the video work as well. It's been something that this team has really worked on to get things right. The guys have talked about video sessions consistently to try to improve. I think you had a good foundation in terms of positional play and the spacing, and that was an easy transition for the group. But the passing percentage, there's a couple elements to it for me. The way you're playing, you're creating easier passes for yourself and build-up play because you're staying so high and wide. You're not letting the opponent put as much pressure on you. When they do, it's 1, it's 2 chasing. You can deal with that all day with Sosa and your 2 center backs, 3 against 2. You're fine with this group. So you're creating easier passes for yourself, which is great. But then what can be difficult, and Burned on the Twitch pitch makes a good point, and I think this is the next element, is taking more chances once you're going into the final third. Because it's tougher, because you've pinned them back. You've pinned the opponent back. They're going to end up like Orlando did a lot of times, 2 lines of 4. You're going 7 versus 8 primarily. You've got to find those passes and maybe take some chances on a through ball and be willing to make a run off the ball that might pull you out of position a little bit in the final third, or take a risk on a risky pass that could turn over. And then you've got to be, have that faith in your group to defend. I think that's the part that they're still a little safe when they try to go into the final third. And when they get over that hump, this is going to be a really difficult team to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you look at, this particular track meet, let me start with you, Kev. Is there one thing that you're looking forward to seeing the most when it comes to the progression that we've seen with Atlanta United so far? So is there one aspect of this that you're going to be locked into going in with your prep that you sit there and it's like, okay, this is what I was looking for when it comes to the progression, even though we're only a handful of matches in? Is there one aspect of this that you're really looking forward to seeing, whether it's a player or a particular element of this under hindsight that we've seen over the first couple of matches?
I think it's just sequences, John, in-game sequences. We saw one fantastic sequence that went all over Twitter too. It was an eye-opening sequence. I think it was in Kennesaw when Guzan played it out of the back. Sosa was involved, Bella was involved, worked it all the way down the line to, I forget, and it led to a great chance for I believe, Sandro Lopez. Those sorts of sequences just to get me excited. When you start to see patterns of play that clearly have been rehearsed over and over and over again, that's the sort of excitement that really got me going under Tata, and that I haven't seen since, quite honestly. So that's what I'm excited about, really. I'm excited to see this team. I'm excited to see Heinze in the flesh and see what he's like, body language on the sideline. I'm excited to see his starting 11 as well, because he's really entrusted certain guys. Mulroney is someone that I didn't know. I didn't know the level of involvement we'd see from Jake this year, and he's working his arse off. It's to put it bluntly, and he's working out really well. He looks threatening. He looks really good in 1v1 situations now. He's drawn free kicks in dangerous scenarios, and we're going to see a really good Marcelino Moreno. There's a guy that I always compare Marcelino to. He just runs like him. He plays like him. It's Jose Luis Morales. He plays for Levante over in La Liga. He's a guy who didn't score many goals earlier on in his career, and when it clicked, and he just started to bang them in. And he's so threatening and so confident when he gets in 1v1 situations. And I feel like it's going to happen for Marcelino because he's got so much talent and raw ability, like his pace and his silky, meandering ability that he has. So I suppose, not to go off on tangents, those
tangents are good. I do it all the time, Kev.
those sequences, Mike, for me, is what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, and I want to see Bello and Lennon get a little deeper. Because I think they have put some really productive, threatening runs in down the channels. I'd love to see them get a little deeper and maybe even a cross or two from a Brooks Lennon. I still feel that if Lennon had the ability to play with Joseph Martinez last year as opposed to kind of the rotation that Atlanta United had with its striker, Lennon could have had double-digit assists last year if he had been pumping crosses into Joseph Martinez.
100%.
So I would love to see George and Brooks get maybe a little tiny bit deeper on Saturday. And I think the point you've made about Heinemann is a really good one, Kevin. Pre-pandemic, Heinemann was on pace for double-digit goals last year, pre-pandemic. And then the plug kind of got pulled, and then Emerson had to deal with some things during the stoppage. And I think
he's actually on pace for 34 goals, Mike.
Yeah, right. Well, that's double digits, right? And he had a banger in Nashville. So yeah, I think this is a really, really big spot for Heinemann. And quite honestly, as Josetu now has his green card and goes through the protocols and finally gets back training with this team, that is going to be a position battle. That is something that Jason and I have talked about at great length. And I hope that Emerson doesn't feel pressured by that, but I think that's something that could really push him. So I'm looking for big things from him, and I'd like to see him get into some dangerous spots this weekend. I thought he did once or twice in Orlando. Want to see that a little more consistently on Saturday.
Moreno versus Sekulic. is the matchup I'm watching all day, because that's the one that I think turns the game. If Moreno can beat Sekulic consistently on the dribble, which I think he can. I think he can beat almost any outside back in this league consistently on the dribble. But almost as importantly, if he can keep Sekulic from joining the attack, I think it really limits Chicago. And Moreno can turn the game for Atlanta.
Yeah. For me, if you wanted to look at specifics within the game, I'm looking at the central midfield area, and Atlanta United, when defending, becoming that little bit more narrow, like we've seen, but not allowing Chicago dictate through the centre, and they can do that really. They destroyed Atlanta centrally at Soldier Field last season. For me, that was one of the weaker performances last year. But it was those central pockets that, like the space ahead of Miles and ahead of George, but centrally, say. Those areas that George Mihailovic picked up in particular last season were devastating for the team. So when defending against this side, you have to be very vigilant. I'm okay pushing the ball wide to Sekulic and Bornstein. I'm okay letting them have it, and Atlanta United just making sure that the likes of Medran doesn't dictate like we've seen him do centrally.
All right. You dropped the reference earlier, Kevin, so I'm going to go ahead and ask it.
I'm scared, John.
Oh, no.
Pink hair don't care. Would the three of you ever go pink hair don't care if you just had the opportunity to do it without any consequence whatsoever? Would you go pink hair don't care?
I can't speak for Jason and Mike, but I'm just not cool enough. There's certain people that can just get away with that, Hans. I was never that guy, and I'm okay being the straight-laced, play-by-play guy. It's just who I am. I've accepted it now, John, so the answer is absolutely no, unless I lost the bet.
Yeah, I'm with Kevin. Absolutely not. Would never even consider it. I'd rather be bald than have pink hair.
Oh, definitely not. Mike, take that back. Take that back.
I mean it. I don't think I could ever, because with the pink hair. I mean, look, Joseph can get away with this because, like you said, he's way cooler than I am. When you dye your hair a loud color like that, you're trying to draw a lot of attention on yourself. I don't like doing that. I like kind of being the guy in the back of the room that no one really sees. So, no, I would never in a million years dye my hair pink.
I would be the closest one to actually doing it back in the day. Not now, because I'm not going to grow my hair out long enough and have it look the way it would to dye it pink.
To do the beard.
No, I can't do the beard. You can't do the beard like a color like that. That's ridiculous. Like the hair, I bleached my hair back in the day. I bleached my hair like Jaime Moreno did when he played for DC United. Yeah, I had the bleached hair for a while, but I didn't go past that. I didn't go like any different colors. But yeah, I used to have bleached hair back in the day. So
how many
I would think
colors is this for Joseph now?
Well, he's been silver, he's been gold, he's been natural, been pink. That's 4 that I know of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe various shades of the gray or silver. I think he's had a couple different looks at it.
As it sets in, yeah, it kind of fades. So
if he scores like 3 or 4 tomorrow, Mike, would you include the pink hair in the goal call?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
He will. I know he will. He absolutely will.
On Saturdays, he wears pink.
How would I do that? How would I do? I got to think about that now. Let's see. I had all this stuff in my mind about if he had scored in Orlando and Father of Mine and Father Knows Best and everything. And I might have to. Yeah, you got me thinking now. I might have to research some song titles between now and tomorrow. I'm glad you put
pink
that back.
Pink hair and the 5 stripes don't care, whatever, something like that.
Yeah, we'll see. It's better when it comes naturally sometimes. So I don't want to.
What, you don't do the prepared remarks like others?
Listen, I would just want it. I just want a Joseph goal.
Yes.
Okay, just give me a goal, and I'll say Joseph Martinez scores, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I think we'll be just fine because if Joseph scores, and if he scores twice, Atlanta United's going to win the match. So that's all I'm asking for. Give me a Joseph goal. If I botch the call, so be it. All right, guys. I have got to go. I hope you don't mind. I have a hard out at 10 o'clock. Kevin, I hope we get to see you in person tomorrow. I don't know where we're allowed to be and not allowed to be, but it'll be really good to see you tomorrow.
I hope so, too. I don't know. Truthfully, I don't know if we're allowed upstairs or if we have to stick within our zone.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I hope so, too. I certainly hope so.
Good deal. See you tomorrow, guys. Take care.
See you, Mike.
All the best.
See ya.
I can stay on and have a chat with you guys if you'll still have me.
Yeah, do it. We're going to talk some MLS Week 2 a little bit here in a minute, but I know John is itching because it was the first thing he got super excited about yesterday, and I told him he could have one very broad question about your alter ego and the work you've been doing lately. John's a huge wrestling guy. I told him one very broad question.
All right, John, you can ask 2.
Whoa, Kevin's magnanimous today.
What's going on, Johnny?
All right. So, in your discussions with Kevin Patrick off air, what was Kevin Patrick's WrestleMania moment? And it didn't have to be an on-camera moment, but what was Kevin Patrick's WrestleMania moment? What did he tell Kevin Egan about WrestleMania?
Like Patrick, Kevin Egan, where am I going?
I need promos with Kevin Egan and Kevin Patrick having a conversation.
Yes!
That's what I need.
Oh, man. My WrestleMania moment was absolutely the start of Saturday. This was just a wild moment. I'll hopefully tell my son in years to come. We were all asked to go out on stage for the singing of America is Beautiful, and the jet was flying over Raymond James Stadium, and the superstars were all on the stage to wave to the crowd returning for the first time in over a year. And the broadcasters are part of the talent, you know. So we have to. So I'm out there standing next to Randy Orton and and next to Seth Rollins and Vince McMahon comes out and he says a few words and then he does his welcome to WrestleMania and it was just an amazing moment to be part of that group. And I'm at the very back. I'm trying to stay out of the way because I'm the new kid, and also I'm a broadcaster. I'm not a superstar wrestler that's been putting my whole life into this. So I wanted to stay out of the way. And as we were leaving, the cold open came on, class cold open. That came on, and this big bolt of lightning happened over the stadium, and we thought we were in the clear. So sure enough, I get a shout off someone saying, "Quick, get to set!" And luckily, I was mic'd up, ready to go. And this is just an example for anyone that wants to get into broadcasting: always be ready. Mm-hmm. Always have your mic ready, your earpiece in. Just be ready for anything, every eventuality. And sure enough, I had to leg it down, and they're like, taking the show. And I wasn't supposed to be on the show at all. Not at all. Like, I wasn't in any of the backstage. WrestleMania, because it's the live crowd, they want to just keep the matches going and limit the backstage stuff because, you know, the fans are there. They're outside. They want to see matches. And sure enough, then I'm thrown on air with the New Day, with Seth Rollins, with Kevin Owens, and it was just it was a lot of fun. I was sweating like crazy because it was so hot. You're talking about a thunderstorm in Florida. Mm-hmm. It was so warm. My shirt was soaking wet and probably rolling down my face, but it was fun. Like Big E grabbed me and he was in my face. It was just a laugh. Like, I must say, it was easily the biggest audience I've ever had doing anything, and I didn't feel nervous. I was just excited to be there, and I felt in that moment incredibly grateful.
When the lightning happened, and I was kind of thinking, what are they going to do to fill this time? Because I know it's like 30 minutes at that point. And
yeah, you know from Open Cups.
Oh yeah, been there, done that. But I remembered a TNA pay-per-view where they had some kind of like pyro issue, and they had to clear out their little arena at Universal Studios, and they had to fill time. And they started doing exactly what you guys did. It was, you got to throw people in front of the camera, you got to have little interviews and make spots. And when that happened, I'm like, Kevin's perfect for this. Because it's improv, it's just rolling with it. But you were the perfect foil to let everybody else do their thing and keep the show moving along. It was perfect.
Thank you. It was fun. It was fun. I mean, we like to have, you know, these big time producers in your ear, Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn. They're amazing at what they do. And to put on a show like that, I was just constantly in awe. And it was cool to work alongside the colleagues that I was with for the weekend and just kind of get to know everybody. You know, I'm in and out of the locker room, and you're getting to know everybody day by day. So very grateful.
All right, one more, John.
Well, and I'll peel back the fourth wall here a little bit. Adnan and I go back about at least 15 years. We worked at the same network back in Canada like many moons ago, many lives ago. So having you and Adnan there, I just sit there and I point at the TV and go, I know that guy.
Nice.
But
he's a gent.
Yeah, Adnan is very cool. And if you go down a movie rabbit hole with him, you're in serious trouble. when it comes to promo segments, I know that at WrestleMania it was KO and KP, and you got to have that moment there. Who have you not yet cut a segment with that you're anticipating having fun with the most when you get that moment?
Oh, that's interesting. That's good. I was looking forward to doing one with Sheamus, and we've had a few now. Drew McIntyre, I've had a few. Drew's such a gent, great guy. Who am I looking forward to? Probably Becky Lynch. When she returns, given the Irish angle. I really look forward to meeting her.
That could be really
but I'm trying to think like other people that have been fun. I'm working a lot now with Xavier Woods.
Yeah, that's perfect.
He's from Atlanta, and he's. I said to him, "You're coming to an Atlanta United game soon. You and your family sort you out with tickets." And he's really excited by it. And I was chatting to Ric Flair the other day, and he said he's going to be doing the Golden Spike again, hopefully this season. So he wants to. He said he loved it. So yeah. Not to name drop, but yeah, it was just
just Ric Flair. Yeah,
I was just chatting with Ric Flair the other day.
Nate and I were just checking. We're buds,
We've lost Kevin. We've completely lost Kevin at this point. We need a bell dinging for name dropping now.
Sorry.
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. No, it's great.
It's cool that you guys are watching though. Thank you.
Wouldn't miss it for the world.
If there's ever anything that I'm doing wrong, make sure you call me.
Nah, Vince will get to you first before we will.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm loving life though. It's 52 years. It's intense. It's every single week. And it's there's a lot of those people that behind the scenes workers. Like there's one guy, Charlie. He's an audio. He works with Minnesota United, and he also works on SmackDown and Raw.
Oh wow!
When do you see your family? Yeah, it's a tough gig for a lot of people. But luckily, I'm just on the Raw side of things for now.
How's it been for you just juggling everything with, going down, doing the shows, doing Sirius XM? Now you've got Atlanta United back. How is it?
CNN's a few times a week.
Oh, yeah, CNN. Jeez. I can't keep up with everything you're doing.
No. It's great. It's fine. It's actually worked out perfectly. The hardest part right now is that my wife is 9 months pregnant. So Meg is upstairs and she's just having a really tough pregnancy. Like with our first child, she said she felt great the whole time. Genuinely, she said I felt wonderful, and that ended up being a boy, James. And this one we found out the nurse let it slip. We weren't going to find out whether it was a boy or a girl, and it's a little girl. Which was, to be honest, when she let it slip, we both just laughed and said, "What a wonderful little surprise! What a wonderful slip that is in 2020. Any good news at all?" And we didn't care if it was a boy or a girl, but delighted to have a little girl on the way. Hopefully, all gone well. And she's having a rough pregnancy, so that's probably been the toughest part. Is just trying to manage this while trying to help her as much as possible. And then we've got a little lunatic of a 2-year-old that wants to throw himself off everything. So it's just trying to manage everything is fine. I'm ready. I'm pumped. I'm excited for tomorrow, and then Sunday jump on the plane again and go down to Florida. So
nothing like a 5-star frog splash from a 2-year-old off of like a bed or a set of drawers or everything. You see, he's catching you on Monday nights and it's rubbing off. He's
telling you, he calls it the Boop Show. He sees it when I'll throw it on and I'll be watching something back, and he calls it the Boop Show because when he hits something, it's a boop. So, and he said to me the other day, he's starting to put words together. He goes, "Little Dada on Boop Show." So he thinks it's Little Dada because I'm smaller on the team.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So no, it's great. We're down. We live whenever I can. I take him out and we give my wife a rest. And we live in Roswell Area Park. We're just there constantly, and there's an over 50s game that happens a few times a week. And they all know James now. Every single one of them will know James. We go out to kick a ball together, and they all want to chat to him. And I'll obviously chat about Atlanta United, and excited for a lot of them are season ticket holders, so excited for the home opener.
Very, very cool. I'm glad we get you back tomorrow. I'm glad we're going to get this home opener that's going to feel like normal again to a degree. I mean, maybe not exactly, but the closest we've been, right? Like this is going to be, I don't know. Like I don't know what I'm going to feel when the crowd really gets going.
Yeah, you're gonna be probably sore when you get home in your face and your cheeks, and you're gonna be smiling the whole time. That's the way it's gonna be, honestly. Yeah. We've all, so a lot of us, and especially we know people in the Atlanta United community that have suffered a lot more than others throughout this. Mm-hmm. This has been a horrendous time, and I feel so lucky that my family as of right now have stayed safe from the pandemic and coronavirus. I just, big love to everybody listening. Hopefully everybody can stay safe throughout the rest of this and we can get through this and get vaccinated. You know, Mercedes-Benz Stadium has provided over 200,000 doses of the vaccine. I got some information last night on that. What an unbelievable facility it's been for Georgia and for the city of Atlanta. So excited to get back at it, truly, and maybe one day soon see my family again. That's really down the line. I can't wait to see my mother and father.
Slowly but surely, we're edging back to it. Slowly but surely. But still got some things we got to be a little careful about, so we'll ramp it all back up as we go. Kevin, everybody in the Twitch pitch is throwing congratulations your way on everything going on, whether it's WrestleMania, it's WWE, Baby Girl, all of it.
Twitch pitch, is that something? That's not something that
you got to go on Twitch to see the chat, and it has been quite robust with you and Mike on the show, and everybody's very excited to see you and hear from you.
Love you guys. Thank you. Appreciate you. Look forward to it tomorrow. Bally Sports. We're now called Bally Sports, so we're live at 7:30 with the pre-game show, and it's going to be a fun one. Half-hour pre-game show straight into the match coverage. Half-hour post-game. Not that I want to take you away from listening to Jason and Mike, but if you want to tune in at any point or record us,
screen experience. You got one
listen
in
to
the
Jason and Mike, record us, watch us back the next day, and look forward to doing hopefully more shows with you guys throughout the year. When we get back at it, breweries, all these sorts of good things that make Atlanta and the Atlanta soccer community so special. Back out at more events for soccer in the streets. And just getting back out there. Like I can't wait to get more involved in the community. We moved into Roswell the week of lockdown.
Oh yeah.
We have no friend. I am Billy No Mates. Billy No Mates. I mean, I'm lucky enough to have
Billy No Mates.
That's me. Yeah. If you search it in Google, you'll just find my face. No friends whatsoever. I'm only joking. I've got a couple of great neighbors.
That's cool.
Here in Roswell. One of them, Jason Cease. He's a big Atlanta United fan. So that's about it. So I look forward to just getting back out into the world a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we get to see you tomorrow. I don't know what the layout's going to be either, but hopefully we get to see you. And if not,
Jason, if I'm there, I mean, if I'm not there, you better be ready. You better be suited and booted. What if my wife goes into labor? You're going to get the shout when we play on TV.
Ay, Dios mío. Nobody wants that. They want you, Kevin.
Yeah, no, I don't know about that, but we'll see. I just keep saying it's going to happen, isn't it? I keep saying to Meg, it's going to happen. Saturday afternoon, she's going to be like, oh, water broke. Let's go.
Or during the broadcast, and it's like there's this cut of what you're at halftime or something, and you're doing halftime stats. And the text goes off. It's like water broke, and then you just do like this exit stage right, and it's like 1/3 of the screen just disappears, and then it's.
What's funny? Meg, I probably spit out way too much on this show. You guys have a great way about you, where
we're not even trying, Kevin.
I know. Sorry, that's what coffee does in the morning. So my wife has she has an emergency call set up on my phone. So when she calls me, it's just and it goes off like a big alarm bell. So if you guys hear that tomorrow on the broadcast, because I'm going to turn my phone on nighttime mode, on silent, on everything. But if this goes off, that my wife is in labor. Everybody. There you go.
That's the bat signal for everybody who's watching on the air. When you hear the big red code red siren going off,
seriously,
in the middle of a goal call,
little Lady Egan's like, "Let me out! I hear Joseph's back."
Lady Egan and Billy No Mates. There you go.
There you go. Well, cheers, guys. Love you both, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. And we'll look forward to a beer at a brewery and another Soccer Down Here show somewhere during the season.
Coming soon, for sure. Kevin, we'll see you. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks for the chat.
As always.
Happy Friday. All the best.
Kevin Egan, Kev_Egan. Make sure you're following him. Yep, all the things. It's a hectic time as we get ready for the home opener tomorrow. So can't wait to see all of you guys from the booth. Can't wait to hear all of you guys more than anything. So really, really pumped about tomorrow. And we've got more stuff coming the rest of the day on various platforms to get ready for tomorrow. So we've got the run-up tonight with Kelly Francis. That'll be at 7 o'clock. We've got the countdown to kickoff with Atlanta United coming up. Sometime this afternoon is when it'll get released. I think it's around 2 or 3, as it was last week. That's going to be a half-hour show with Mike and I. We interview Katie Griggs for that show to talk about everything to expect for tomorrow. So if you're going, that'll definitely be something you want to see as we get ready for that. Then tomorrow, during everything, normal places, where Bally Sports South is going to be, where 92.9 The Game is, what apps you can use to listen to it. All that stuff is there. If you have any questions, always, at Longshoe, at Soccer Down Here, we'll get you taken care of. Then after the game, after the post-game show on TV, after the post-game show on radio, it's the return of the Salty Takeaway with John.
Takeaways.
You need a new voice for that. It's the same voice for everything. You need a new voice for the Salty Takeaway. It needs to be a unique voice.
What kind of a voice?
I don't know. It's your show. You figure it out. It's John and Jarrett and Nick, more like John herding cats as Jarrett and Nick go nuts about the game. That is the post show. Yes. Pirate voice has been suggested by Strummer John.
Arr, the Salty Takeaways.
Oh, that's going to be a thing. Yeah. And you guys got to make a decision because you've done it too. Is it the Salty Takeaway or the Salty Takeaways? Because you've all done both.
Multiple people, to me, lend it to the Salty Takeaway.
Figure it out. I think the idea was the Salty Takeaway, as was suggested in the Discord. And then it became Takeaways, and now it's like one or the other, and the show has two names. But I don't know. Burned, the Atlanta United YouTube videos are on YouTube. They live on YouTube. So youtube.com, I believe, /ATLUTD. But if you just search for Atlanta United on YouTube, you'll go to their channel, and you can subscribe there, and highlights go up. This show will go up every Friday, that type of stuff. It's on the app, too. Abby, no, that's different. Sorry. It might be on the Atlanta United app as well. I'm not 100% sure if the YouTube flows straight in there. But YouTube, go to their site, go to their app, wherever, and just subscribe to the Atlanta United channel there. And there you go. All right, we got week 2 in MLS. We got MLS Fantasy we got to talk about, and we've got 40 minutes to do it because we have a hard out at 11 o'clock. Let's get into
Whoa.
What, John?
We still haven't thanked somebody.
Oh, boy. This could be good. This could be bad. John, why don't you tell us about Steve Apolinski?
Apolinski & Associates, LLC, proud supporters of everything soccer down here in the SDH network for wrongful death and serious injury matters. One place you need to go. It's Apolinski & Associates, LLC. 3 different ways that you can get in touch with said firm. Pick up the phone, get a free consultation, 404-377-9191. Shoot Steve an email directly, steve@aa-legal.com, or go on the World Wide Web, large device or small, type in aa-legal.com in your address bar, hit the return key, the arrow key, the return key, the enter key, whatever gets you forward. Yes, all of those. Thank you with that left hand, Jason. Yes, bang, 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 bang. And you get the homepage for Apolinski & Associates, LLC. All the different cases that they can handle for you, all the different awards that they have won, all the recognition that they get in the public sector right there on the homepage. If you still want more information, you can go low right-hand corner, pop-up window, because that's what pop-up windows do. They pop up 24/7, 365 and a quarter. Thank you, Chris Hutchison. Over 30 years of experience, over $40 million in judgments for their clients in 2 time zones, the Eastern and the Central, clients in Georgia and Alabama. For wrongful death and serious injury matters, one place you need to go, Apolinski & Associates, LLC. The website is aa-legal.com. Hi, Jarrett.
Jarrett, were you safely protected for that, or did you stumble into it?
No, I stumbled right into it because the timing. This is why you coordinate these things, because that way I don't walk out from behind my giant lead bunker in the middle of a testing zone.
You just showed up. I can't control it. We went long.
But
Kevin was talking about WrestleMania, and we had things to discuss. Just saying.
That's fair.
I mean, it's kind of cool to hear about WrestleMania, so thought that was nice.
No, yeah, absolutely.
You paid the fallout of it, but I'm sorry. I apologize.
The nuclear promo read.
And so but you have to give a score, Jarrett, since you stumbled into that.
I only heard the very end of it. I'm going to take at least a point off because he didn't do the the Paul Harvey-esque pause right before the .com, and I actually do enjoy the pause.
Some people like it, some people don't. John's all confused by it, and he won't go with his gut. He keeps trying to please everybody with different styles
Trust
of reads.
yourself, John.
I know, that's what I say. Just do what you want to do. Do it, man. It's your read.
Trust yourself.
Phoenix
I'll
gives
go
you
7.5.
7.5 from Jarrett. Phoenix gives you a 10 because of the sad face you gave to remind everybody about the read. Hold your damn 4 horses, Kefsey says. I think he could be talking about the read. Blitz 9.5, 8. Don't bully me, Kefsey says. That's right, Kefsey. I am with you. He was talking about enter keys and return keys, and then he said it again, and I didn't know what he was talking about. I was trying to act it out. 10 from Alex.
Performance art for the promo read. That's a good second level thing.
That's what I try to do around here when I can. Sean, on a conference call, didn't hear it, so a default score of 4.9998.
Thank you, Sean.
That's the default East German score.
Yes.
Ricky, -2 for saying return twice. See, that's what confused me. Other than that, it was strong. It's an 8. Fantastic Friday read from Tommy, a 10.
Thank you, Tommy.
South Georgia gives you a 10 out of 10. Service glitch prevented from hearing the beginning. So, Faith, you didn't hear the return key and talked about twice there, South Georgia. So, yeah. Ron, 7.8. Rope says, just make the pause a consistent 2 beats, 9.8. Nick Alifi, strong read, in all caps, with emphasis. 8.2 for Captain California from Steve. Joe gives a 9 just because the last 2 days were good and I was away and it's a match day tomorrow. Ricky says you can't get a 10 for a stumble, and I would absolutely agree.
I would agree with that too.
I would have to agree. You can't get a 10 if you can't get a 10 if you have a red card. You can't get a 10 if you have an own goal. You can't get a 10 if you say the enter key twice. You can't. You can't get the 10. I'm with Ricky. It's not a yellow. No. It's a mistake. I mean, it's just a mistake. It happens. You can't get a 10. You didn't get sent off for it or anything. It's just, it's a stumble. It's a bad giveaway. It led to a goal. It's not good.
Well, you could still send him off.
We could. We do have 36 minutes left, Jarrett, so it is possible. Because of that time we have left, we are going to jump into MLS Fantasy first, and then we will run through Week 2 second, because John needs the help with the fantasy, even though he really doesn't. He acts like he does. He takes the help. It helps him do very well. If you want to be in the Soccer Down Here league, you need to do it by kickoff tonight of Sporting Kansas City and Orlando, unless you don't want any Kansas City or Orlando players. Then you got games starting at 1 o'clock tomorrow. So the league standings start with this week, with Week 2. So you still got time. Jason Wright, AGEN on Twitter. There is a pinned link to get signed up. Facebook, Jason Wright Agency as well. We will retweet it one more time. Jillian Sakovitz is playing in the Open League. Michael Parkhurst is in the Open League, or somebody masquerading as Michael Parkhurst. I'm going to assume it's Parky. Yeah. So they're in the Open League. You can compare yourself to their scores all season long. John's in the Open League. I'm in the Open League. All the listeners are in the Open League. So all you got to do is sign up. It's free. And you can win prizes and such, and it will be a fun time for all. So, John, do you have your fantasy team ready?
Allegedly
you have it ready. That really gets us started on the wrong foot, John. What do you have in terms of goalkeeper to start your team?
I'm sticking with Joe Willis this week. I'm treating Montreal's win last week as an anomaly, and I'm going with Joe Willis at home.
You are not putting respect on the name of Club de Foot Montreal. Is that what you're telling us?
That is accurate, yes.
Why do you hate French Canada, John?
I don't hate French Canada. I said I worked in Canada I worked with Canada. And
you didn't work in French Canada, though, did you?
4 or 5 years. So,
you didn't work in the Quebec part of the country.
Yeah, I told stories about you the other night, actually.
Oh?
I was playing a softball game, and I was wearing my Nordiques hat. So someone asked if I was an Avalanche fan, and no, but I went up there and picked up some things for a friend who used to work up there, who has many a story about Canadian sports.
Accurate, yes.
Especially my favorite one is still the Grey Cup with the icing on the door, with the ice on the doors.
Yes. Well, and the fogging of the lenses and Lawrence Phillips yelling at me.
That's not good. KFC says, parlez-vous Poutine?
Only when I go to Swiss Chalet at Pearson International Airport.
You need to go to Poutineville because it's the best.
Agreed.
It's awesome. I really miss Poutineville. I hope I get
Also,
to visit
the poutine
Poutineville again.
at Montreal Stadium is really good too.
Ah, nice. I did not have access to that.
We sat next to the Ultras. It was so much fun. They were the nicest people in the world, and they were absolutely out of their gourd.
Yeah, that's accurate. The press box food at Stade Saputo was really good. That's still possibly my favorite place in the league. It's right there, and Bank of California is great. There's others that are great. Portland was great, but man, I love Stade Saputo. In goal, since I do have respect for Club de Foot Montreal, I have William Yarbrough of the Colorado Rapids in goal, coming off of a clean sheet, hosting Austin.
Yep.
Backline, who you got?
Once again, going with my theory of not trusting Club de Foot de Montreal, I have Zimmerman and Romney, but I also have Danny Wilson going with your Yarborough theory, going up against Austin from Colorado, and Kessler from New England going up against D.C.
I've got two of those. I got a 3-5-2 working this week. Zimmerman and Wilson are both there for me because I think Zimmerman might be able to steal a goal on a set piece. And I've got Nick Dupuis of the LA Galaxy against the Red Bulls because I don't have respect for the Red Bulls. On the road in Los Angeles, I've got a Galaxy good defensive performance.
Understood.
All right, midfield, what you got?
Cole Bassett to go with the playing Austin theory.
Okay.
Then I have Valeri Pozuelo and Latif Blessing.
Valeri Pozuelo, Latif. I have none of those. I have Bebelo Reynoso because I think Minnesota bounces back against RSL.
That was a thought.
Jared, I got Christian Espinoza just for your Quakes because it's chaos and things can happen and he can do things and create goals. I have Rodolfo Pizarro from Miami against Philadelphia because I wonder if Philly's going to be looking ahead to Tuesday a little bit. I think they could. I'm taking a gamble on Pizarro. I have Ezequiel Barco because I think he will find space against Chicago in between the lines. And I have Andres Ricarte of Dallas, who was a pretty good number, and I'm still high on him. So taking a couple chances with Pizarro and Ricarte. Pozuelo probably not going to play, as you were told in the Twitch pitch, John.
Okay,
Didn't you make that mistake last time?
It's checking on someone who's in the 10 million range in the midfield.
Okay, yeah. Make sure you check on that because I think you played Pozuelo last week, right?
I played Pozuelo, Mavinga, and Rossi last week and ended up with 24 points.
That's a problem. Up top, who you got?
Captained Brenner against NYC and Gustavo Bo against DC.
I have neither one of them. I am going with an all Los Angeles front line of Carlos Vela and Chicharito, and Chicharito is my capitan.
Understood.
Against the Red Bulls.
No, I understand that logic completely. I was waffling on whether or not to put Chicharito in my lineup, but once again my lack of respect for NYC, thinking that they're just not really good right now. And then DC with the chaos that we anticipate with them on a weekly basis. That's why I went with Kessler and Bo from New England.
NYC not very good, but Cincinnati's never beaten NYC, and it is Cincinnati we're talking about. I will talk about that game here in a second. I don't know about that one. I don't know about it enough to go on either side of it here in fantasy. I'm going to stay away from it. So my risks are Pizarro and Ricarte. Ricky's captaining Reynoso, thinking about switching to Chicharito. Ropes is captaining Kasper Shabilko. Let's see. Dr. D has Galese in goal, Lennon, Bello, Wagner as his three defenders. Carlos Gil, Ezequiel Barco, Luciano Acosta, Jose Martinez of Philadelphia in midfield. Buxa, Brenner, and Chicharito up top. That is Dr. D's group. Ryan, who is a fantasy expert, and you will see Ryan's commentary throughout the year from @soccer down here in the graphics each week. Ryan doesn't hate Willis this week. There is a keeper playing tonight that is a must-have at 4.2. That is all that Ryan will say when we talk about tonight's game. You might be able to figure that one out. Ricky,
and I have him as my second keeper.
And that does you nothing, John. Zero. He's just sitting there. It's nice. Mm-hmm. You can like wave high and he gets no
I'll
points.
I'll wave at John Polskamp and go, good to have you as a salary.
There you go. Yeah, it's as bad as asking about what's in the black book yesterday. You're trying to build suspense, John. Come on. Trying to build suspense. You didn't have to drop it there. Got to talk about that game in a second.
Gillespie,
no, we're talking
the other side. And
let people figure it out. We have a smart listener base, John. They could figure that out. We were getting there. All right, anyway. Ricky Ricardo's lineup before we move into the games. Chicharito, Shabilko, Corey Baird up top. Interesting. Midfield, Heel, Reynoso, Valeri, Barco. Backline, Hollingshead, Tinnerholm, Lennon. I like Hollingshead in that one. That's a good one. Tinnerholm, again, I'm not so sure about NYC Cincinnati, so I'm staying away. Matt Turner in goal for Ricky. Dr. D, sleeper picks of the week are the Cincinnati players. I am not 100% signed up on Cincinnati doing this. I'm not 100% on board with it. Ron Digital, you want to be involved in this? You won't be the punching bag. There are plenty of punching bags. I'm going to jinx everybody. It's what happens. I've probably ruined Andres Ricarte's career because I have faith in him in this fantasy league. Go on Twitter. Go to twitter.com/Jason Wright, WRIGHT, AGEN. Jason Wright Agency, but it's shortened to AGEN because that's all of the characters you get. And the pinned tweet is your link to sign up. You sign up, you have to give some information because we're giving away prizes, legal stuff, all that. And we will get you signed up. You'll get the code. You can join the league. Very, very easy. So and then you go to MLS Fantasy, fantasy.mlssoccer.com, and get going. Very simple. Burned, I didn't think about this, but maybe it was.
I managed to join.
See, there you go. Jarrett, do you want to talk about your lineup, or are you going to keep it a secret?
I haven't even made my lineup yet.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. You're even worse than John.
It's going to be bad.
It's going to be bad. You got a game tonight at 7:30. If you want to get any Orlando or Kansas City players in, you need to do it before 7:30.
Like I'm not going to take Johnny Russell on principle.
Yeah, you only left Johnny Russell captained all season long. Burned, I didn't think about this, but maybe it was subconscious.
Lewis Morgan's going to be captained all season long.
That's right. I'm sorry. That's true. Byrne says, I am symbolically supporting the death of the Super League by going hard against the Red Bull Empire in fantasy, and Byrne respects it.
Well, considering that they ain't all that good, that's a solid play.
Yes, that is accurate. All right, let's get into week number 2 in MLS. John, get your juice box numbers ready, and we will start with tonight's match, 7:30 tonight on FS1 and Fox Deportes. Sporting Kansas City hosting Orlando City. John Polskamp got the win for Sporting last week. He is the third youngest goalkeeper to get a win in MLS history. He was 19 years and 363 days old last week, so he's turned 20 since. But the third youngest goalkeeper to get a win in MLS history. Peter Vermes is going to have some MLS history tonight, assuming he doesn't not show up on the touchline. He will be the second person in MLS history to participate in 600 games as a player or a manager.
Wow.
Or both. Jason Kreis is the only one who's participated in more, over 300 as a player, over 300 as a manager. But Peter Vermes will be number 2 to get to that 600 mark. About 140 or so, if I remember right, as a player in the first couple years of the league. First, I think 5 years of the league. And then as a manager for a long time in Kansas City. Overall series between these two, Orlando's got 3 wins. Kansas City's got 2. There's been 1 draw. What do the experts say about this one, John?
This one has shifted a little bit since Monday night when we had it as our pick of the week in the Soccer Over There pool. Initially, Sporting was even money plus 100. Your draw was plus 275. Orlando at a plus 239. Sporting has turned into a rather prohibitive favorite now at a minus 116. Your draw is a plus 293. And once again, this is in a composite from our friends at Odds Portal. Orlando City to win is now all the way up to a plus 282.
Reaction to Pato's injury? Maybe, possibly? I don't know. I mean, that's been pretty well known since that game. So I think Kansas City gets the win. I thought they had a nice win at Red Bull Arena. 2-1 on the road in week 1. I think they'll get the win here 2-0.
Okay. I was going to say 2-1.
I'm going to go 2-0. I'm going to go 2-0. Jarrett, any thoughts?
I'm going to go 1-1.
1-1. Is that what you went with in the picks of the week? Or have you changed it?
He went sporting. We all went sporting, and you went draw.
Yeah.
I went draw, so I changed too.
I'm wildly inconsistent about this. I think the more I think about it, the more, and I'll stick with I can't change my pick from our betting pool anyway. But
you can.
I'm not going to. I am choosing to have that sort of integrity on that front because that is just a sliver that I can maintain.
Yeah, on that front only.
Yeah, on that front. I think Orlando's defense will keep it in play for them, and I think it's 1-1.
Okay. New York City and Cincinnati. This is the early game tomorrow, 1 o'clock, ESPN Plus from Yankee Stadium. Cincinnati's never beaten New York City. 4 wins out of 4, 2-0, 4-0 last year. Ronald Matarrita goes back to face his old team. The Tati Castellanos rumors are saying that he has a move to Palmeiras in the final stages. Eber's not 100%. NYC is very thin. Ronnie Dial has talked about it. MLSsoccer.com has New York City facing pressure this week because of their performance in Week 1. I don't even want to hazard a guess at this one, but the juice box purveyors are trying to tempt me.
NYC is at a minus 250 at home.
Bruh.
Your draw's a plus 382. FC Cincinnati is a plus 645.
Man.
Riders up.
That's a crazy number.
Mm-hmm.
That is a Looney Tunes number.
Yep.
What does Vegas know that we don't?
I don't know, because other than New York City's always beaten Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Cincinnati looked better in Week 1. They were both on the road in Week 1. Cincinnati played a better team in Week 1 and looked better. I don't know what they could know. The narrow pitch, sure. I mean, that does factor in, but this is not your old Cincinnati. And at times, and I know Vegas is an all-knowing being here, at times they don't keep up with some of the progressions in this league. That's a really tempting number. And it might be worth a stinky juice box on a Cincy win and a less stinky juice box on a draw, because both of those are very high and I think very probable. It is at Yankee Stadium. It is not at Red Bull Arena. I want to say it's about half and half for NYC this season.
Yeah,
this one is at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah. I looked at that number and I'm like, and they're still trying to shift folks to that big NYC number with a minus, and I'm just like, no. I don't see it. I absolutely do not see this.
No, they're not trying to shift people to NYC with a minus, John. That's not as good of a bet. That's not how it works. Oh, they're trying to get action on it, and they've got a Cincinnati number very high to try to attract action. Nashville and Montreal. Go ahead, Jarrett. Sorry.
No, here's my question that I want to ask about that won't get answered until this game. Okay. How much of last week's basically firing squad was Nashville being a lot better than people expect? Or maybe Cincinnati's going to let teams fire off more than we might have expected as they get forward more.
I think Cincinnati's going to be more open is what it's going to be, because they can actually attack with something resembling coherence.
Yeah. I don't know if New York City has I wouldn't be surprised if you saw another game where Cincinnati gave up 20 shots. They only gave up a goal because New York City can't function up top right now.
Yeah. I think the openness from Cincinnati can handle this. I'm definitely leaning to Cincinnati pulling the upset there, even though I don't think it's a huge upset. 2 o'clock Saturday, Nashville hosting Montreal on ESPN Plus. They've played one time in their history. Nashville won it last year. We know about Club de Foot Montreal with their 4-2 win over Toronto. You got goals from Toy, Kyoto, Wanyama, Mihailovic. Broguillard had 2 assists for Montreal. Randall Leal had a goal and an assist for Nashville in that 2-2 draw with Cincinnati. What do the odds have to say about this one?
Nashville at a minus 156. Your draw is a plus 276, and CF Montreal is a plus 458.
Yeah, it feels about right. I'm not buying Montreal like that. I'm not buying them on that one against Nashville. You know, that feels about where it should be. Can they surprise you? Absolutely. They surprised us in week 1. But Nashville's not beat up like Toronto was. I think Nashville takes care of business.
Yep.
Toronto, speaking of being beat up, they host Vancouver at Exploria Stadium in Orlando, 3 o'clock on ESPN+. Even in the MLS series, and they've played in Canadian Championship stuff too, Toronto's won 6 times, Vancouver's won 5, 2 draws. Both teams are one team's coming off disappointment with Toronto. Vancouver got a surprising win over Portland. If Lucas Cavallini is scoring goals, Vancouver could be a surprise. Remember our friend Nico yesterday? He is high on Vancouver. Maybe he's seeing something out west that we're not. I'm not high on Vancouver, but I'm also not high on a banged-up Toronto team. I'm avoiding this one completely, but what are the numbers?
Toronto's at a minus 164. Your draw a plus 319, and Vancouver at a plus 418.
I wouldn't touch anything about that until I see the lineup for Toronto.
This game has Maxime Crepeau out of his mind for 90 minutes written all over it for me.
I don't know. I don't know what to expect with Toronto. I really have no idea what to even think about with Toronto until they get fully healthy. So I'm going to leave that to the side. And if they're banged up and they've got CONCACAF next week, they're going to have to rest guys. And as Byrne points out, with some of the age on that team, the afternoon games in Florida are not exactly easy for them to deal with.
No.
So I am not going anywhere near that game. Another one I'm probably avoiding is Jarrett's San Jose Earthquakes hosting Dallas, 3:30, Univision and TUDN. Lifetime San Jose.
That's the DGen game.
What's that?
That's the DGen game of the week.
That is the degenerate game of the week. It gets the special tag from Jarrett Smith. 28 wins lifetime for San Jose, 20 for Dallas, 17 draws. San Jose is undefeated in their last 6 against Dallas, going back to 2017. That was a surprising number to find this week. Shea Salinas notched his 52nd career assist last week in the loss against Houston. Jimmy Maurer got the clean sheet for Dallas, 6 saves against Colorado. He was the league leader in goals against average last year. He's off to a great start this year. What are the numbers on San Jose and Dallas?
Monday, San Jose was a plus 142. The draw was a plus 233, and FC Dallas was a plus 189. Jarrett and I picked San Jose. You and Nick picked Dallas. Right now, San Jose has dropped a little bit to a plus 136. The draw hasn't budged a whole lot, and FC Dallas has gone up to a plus 202.
I still like Dallas in it because San Jose did not impress me at all in week 1. They're up and down, so it's hard to always judge them. But, yeah, I will still go with Dallas right now, even though I'm not exactly happy about that game being picked. But, you know, that's what happens in our picks of the week.
When the veto is used, and it leaves an open window for a selection like this.
Yes. Jarrett, how do you feel about your Quakes?
The same way I did. Irrationally happy and optimistic, even though it's probably going to hurt me at the end. Yeah, I'll take the Quakes still in a close one. I think it's going to be a reoccurring theme this year for them, though, of, man, first half of that game really sucked. What happened? Shea Salinas and Wando came on and gave you 30 minutes, which is about what you can expect from them at this point, and somehow rescued something out of it. Because if I couldn't have if I could not have a Mikey Ambrose backing up George Bello, Shea Salinas would be a hell of a backup for George Bello playing that left back slot.
Interesting. We got to mow through these. We got 14 minutes for the rest of the campaign on week 2. LAFC and Seattle, 6 o'clock, ESPN Deportes tomorrow. LAFC, 4 wins in regular season play. Seattle, 2. Seattle won both of those last year. They went 2-3 last year. There's been 1 draw. Both teams with big wins in week 1. Freddie Montero had a goal and an assist. Stephen Fry had his 83rd career clean sheet. He's 4th all-time in MLS history. The news on LAFC, outside of making sure Carlos Vela wants a sub when they're not sure if he wants a sub. Let's get that right. Edward Atuesta could be either close or has signed a new contract with the club. He's out of contract at the end of this season, so it looks like he might be sticking around a little bit. What are the numbers, John?
LAFC minus 119. Your draws a plus 295. Seattle a plus 290.
That number for Seattle's really tempting. I'm not going to fall for the Sounders' big win because I think Minnesota crumbled emotionally. I'm not going to fall for it. Not going to lie, it's tempting. I think LAFC wins at home.
Yeah, I think they do too.
Jarrett?
Despite my my badgering and it was not taking hook, line, and sinker during the call yesterday about them fathering LAFC. That mostly happens in the playoffs, and it's still always funny. I think LAFC takes this game.
Yeah. New England and D.C., 8 o'clock, ESPN+. Lifetime, D.C. owns the series lead. 34 wins, 30 for New England, 15 draws. New England had the comeback draw after falling behind in Chicago last week. D.C. had the surprising 2-1 win over New York City. Julian Gressel had his 39th career assist in that D.C. win. What are the numbers for New England and D.C.?
New England minus 192. Your draws a plus 319. DC's a plus 527.
The odds makers are not acknowledging DC, huh?
Mm-mm.
Not really at all.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm kind of with that as well. I think New England gets the win at home.
3-1.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. No, I don't know about the scoreline, but I think New England gets the win at home. I think DC's going to play some really fun games. But
Yeah, I think it'll be open for DC. It'll be fun, but I think New England can rip them apart. I think Carlos Heel has a big day. So I'm
Heel or Bo are not bad pickups for your fantasy team, potentially.
Yeah, I'm going 2-0 New England. Philly and Miami, 8 o'clock ESPN+. Lifetime, Philadelphia won both games last year. Andre Blake, 6 saves, got the clean sheet in week 1. He had 8 of them last year. Gonzalo Higuain, a goal and an assist in week 1.
It's the beard.
It's a really ridiculous beard in Florida heat. It's absurd. Is it going to be enough against Philadelphia? What do people think?
Philadelphia plus 114. Your draws a plus 261. Inter Miami a plus 221.
Why is Miami getting so much acknowledgement? I'm surprised by that. You give me a plus on Philadelphia.
In Miami, or do they want to believe in Miami?
I don't know. It's been this way really ever since they came into the league with some of the odds makers. It's really surprising. You give me a plus on Philly at home, I'm taking it.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm surprised by that. Miami could play well and still lose. I mean, Philadelphia's that good.
Philadelphia gets the disrespect that Adrian Heath wishes he got.
Yeah, it's weird. Like that game's a weird respect battle because Miami gets too much and Philadelphia doesn't get enough. I think that's where those odds come from in it.
Yep.
Minnesota hosting RSL. RSL didn't play last week. They had the bye. Minnesota did, and they wish they hadn't. They've won 4 times against RSL lifetime. There's been 4 draws, 1 win for RSL. Minnesota's not lost to RSL in their last 7 meetings. It was in Minnesota's first year that RSL beat them, and they haven't beaten them since. Crazy stat of the week, Dane St. Clair from Minnesota. He's faced 3 penalties in his MLS career. He has saved them all. He has not been scored on from the spot, ever. That's crazy. I mean, it's 3. It's a small sample size, but that's crazy. He saved 1 last week. What are the numbers on Minnesota and RSL?
Minnesota minus 119. Your draws a plus 272. RSL's a plus 317.
Minnesota.
Yep.
Minnesota.
I think RSL's going to have a rough year, so.
Yeah, I do. And I think the Loons are angry. If they're not, they need to be. That was a horrible performance, a horrible reaction. Because it was a good start, and it was a horrible reaction to falling behind. They looked mentally weak. Adrian Heath needs to whip them into shape. Colorado and Austin, 9 o'clock, ESPN+. First time they've ever played, of course. William Yarbrough, 4 saves in the clean sheet draw with Dallas in Week 1. He's got 5 in his young MLS career after coming over from Club Leon. Brad Stuver made 7 saves for Austin last week in a 2-0 loss against LAFC. I thought Austin looked pretty good at the end of that game. John Gallagher came on and did really well for Austin. I have no idea where the Juicebox purveyors are going to look at Austin this season, but what are the numbers here?
Colorado minus 133. Your draws a plus 278. Austin plus 362.
I don't trust Austin enough to throw anything their way yet.
Yeah.
If I had to, that draw is not a bad selection. Because I don't trust Colorado. I am not high on the Colorado Rapids this season.
Yeah, it's just I'm like, I don't know. I think Austin is probably like 1-1, something like that. That's what I'm thinking.
I don't know about Austin yet.
I'm not touching this game.
Yeah,
I'm not touching it, but I'm just thinking that I think it might be. It end up being a 1-1. Austin gets something off a set piece or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know yet about Austin. They were not bad against LAFC though. I got to give them that. Need more time. Need to see them more. Portland and Houston, 10:30 Saturday night, ESPN Plus. Portland's won 7 times. Houston's won 5. You got 5 draws. Houston has not lost a season opener in their last 10. And they won 2-1 last week against San Jose. Only one time since this series started in 2011 when Portland came into the league has the away team won, and that was in the first year of the series when Houston won at Portland in their expansion year. What are the numbers?
Portland plus 106. The draw is a plus 250, and Houston is a plus 254.
Same thing as Philly. You give me a plus number on Portland at home, I'm taking it.
Yep.
Houston should have had a draw in that game against San Jose.
There's the San Jose coming out at him.
There it is.
Wando missed a tap in.
He did.
Would have had a draw.
That's true.
I don't trust them late in the game against Portland for sure.
I think Portland's going to come in and have a redemption story after a bad Week 1 loss to Vancouver. I think Portland gets the win. Sunday, 1 game, 5:30, FS1 and Fox Deportes, LA Galaxy and the New York Red Bulls. Lifetime, the Red Bulls have the series lead, which surprised me. 20 wins, LA with 17, 8 draws. Chicharito with 2 goals in the win in Miami. Caden Clark with a wonder goal for the Red Bulls in a 2-1 loss to Sporting Kansas City. Kind of wondered who would be in goal for the Red Bulls. It was Carlos Miguel Cordenel, who's on loan from Red Bull Salzburg. He had been with Philadelphia in the past. I don't know how I feel about the Red Bulls in terms of a consistent lineup yet. I don't feel very high on them in general because I think Gerhard Struber is going to adjust to the league. They do have a lot of new faces. I think it's going to take time for them. Without even knowing the numbers, I'm going Galaxy here, but what are they?
Galaxy plus 121. Your draws a plus 243, and the Red Bulls are plus 221.
I'm surprised the Red Bulls get that kind of respect going across the country. That's another one that they generally do get that in these odds being created. I mean, the Galaxy have not been good for a while. We know that. But the Red Bulls haven't exactly been what they were going back to 2018. They haven't really been that.
2018 is a long time ago for them.
It is, and there's a lot of guys gone. So I'm going Galaxy here, and I feel pretty good about it. I'm going against the Red Bulls until I see some cohesion with that group. Caden Clark's great. They've got some other talented players who have come in, but I don't know where they stand right now. I don't think they stand strong enough to go across the country and win against the Galaxy.
And that's 3 games this week where you've got home teams on the plus that are games that you probably should jump on. You've got Philly at a plus 114, Portland at a plus 106, and the Galaxy at a plus 121.
Yeah, there's a few interesting ones with not underdogs at home, but still kind of large numbers at home that it's kind of like, okay, didn't see that coming, but all right. Jared, anything else about Week 2 in MLS for you that stands out?
No, not really. I'm going to actually take the draw, though, at LA and Red Bulls. I think early enough in the season, Red Bulls' legs can keep them in this, and LAFC still, or LA Galaxy still not perfect. So give me the weird road draw out there.
One update on DC, they have 11 players listed on the bad side of the player availability list, which is it's the replacement for the injury report, because you have situations that are not injuries where players are not available with COVID and everything going on. But Paul Arriola, Birnbaum, DeShields, Green, Hamid, Kamara, Adoyachem, Paredes, Pines, Reyna, Yao.
Good Lord.
Yeah, they're all on the bad side of that player availability list right now. That's not good.
Mm-mm.
So if you're thinking about New England and DC, keep that in mind. I might go to my fantasy team and stock up on a couple Revs players.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
That's
So
a
it might
lot.
be Bohiel and Kessler.
Yeah, it's very possible, because, wow, that's a whole bunch of players. Felipe Cardenas tweeted earlier, and I don't think it's a surprise because we've seen some announcements of things going on with Greg Garza working in the Atlanta youth soccer scene. Felipe tweeted that Greg Garza is set to announce his retirement. He's going to settle in Atlanta with his family while he plans his next chapter. He's doing some coaching work here on the youth side with the Georgia Alliance Club. We only had Greg here for a couple of years, but I know he was a fan favorite from day one. People loved watching him play, and great guy. Every time we got a chance to interact with him, his mastery of so many different languages always blew my mind.
Yep.
It's a shame about the injuries with him, because I don't think we ever got to see him consistently at his best for a long run of games. It felt like every time he got going, there would be an injury that would pop up. But a very good career for Greg Garza. I think a little bit of an underrated career because of the injuries.
Yeah, and I know that when the All-Star game was here, getting Greg to be an All-Star was fantastic, but then you have the injury happen very, very quickly in the match. But the biggest thing for me is you always wonder if you'd gotten a healthy Greg Garza, what the career would have been like. And obviously there's always going to be that time where you sit there and you hang it up, and I want to see what the next chapter is. But, when you ask any Atlanta United fan about Greg Garza, everything is just glowingly positive, and they loved his effort. They loved what he did out there on the pitch for this club when he was a part of it.
Could have been a consistent left back for the U.S. men's national team if he had had better luck with injuries. I really think he could have been a consistent player on that left side for a long time. Jarrett, final thoughts?
No, that's pretty much it.
Real quick before we go, because Joe asked and we didn't get a chance to dig into it. We did yesterday on the live show from Pontoon Brewing. If you get a chance to go check that out on Twitch, you can go back and watch that. We talked about it a good bit in the first part of the show. But thoughts on Tony Annan leaving Atlanta United, going to take the University of South Carolina job?
Hate it for Atlanta. Tony's blood, sweat, and tears are all in that academy, and the fingerprints are all over it. But it's a hell of an opportunity for him, and if he wants to go in the coaching direction, I would imagine that South Carolina won't be mad about possibly getting some recruits coming out of Atlanta United's academy down the road coming out of this. But very curious to see what happens with the academy now, because Tony can be, I think, very proud of what he accomplished here in the time he was here.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to talk to Tony in any kind of detail other than just giving him my congratulations. Just from talking to him last year, I know he enjoyed being back on the touchline. I know he enjoyed coaching at that level. The South Carolina job, and I know when you look at it in terms of stature and different things, like college and the pro, it's different worlds, but that's a plum job in NCAA circles because it's a legacy program in Division I college, and they've struggled a little bit here lately. Mark Burson, I believe, had been the coach there for 40 years, a long time. So you've got a lot of job security. You're going to have a lot of resources to be successful. You're going to get a chance to win games, and they've struggled to do that a little bit in the last couple of years. But who's going to recruit better from the academies all over the country than Tony Annan? So he's going to have a chance to go in and win and do well and kind of rebuild a heritage program. It's a big opportunity for him that's very different than what he was doing here in terms of being the academy director. I think on the field, we saw it with that national championship in the academy in the first years of it. We saw it last year with, working with a team that was at times 10 or 11 years younger than the teams they were playing. We saw them fight consistently last year with Atlanta United too. So he's ready for that kind of a job, to be a regular coach at a higher level. It does hurt the academy, but as we talked about last night, you've got now a ready-made program for somebody to come in, grab the keys, and not just build it like Tony had to do, but drive that car to success. And I think that's a credit to what Tony and his staff have built.
No question. And Ray Tanner, the athletic director at South Carolina, when it comes to looking for talent, longtime baseball coach there at the University of South Carolina, so he knows what legacy hires are, and this feels like a continuing legacy hire for the soccer program. 7-2, I think, this year as they bounce through. I think they're listed as a Conference USA side, but power rankings, if you look in RPI and things like that, they're middle of the pack in Division I, 500 year on the pitch. But I think that Tony going to the University of South Carolina, I think for me it's going to be fun to see him on the touchline, coaching in the college game, the kind of talent that he'll bring, and then continuing to develop the South Carolina program into something that he's looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how it works out. I'm excited to see what his teams look like over at South Carolina. So we'll get a chance to catch up with Tony later this summer for sure. So stay tuned on that. He will be the Atlanta United 2 interim manager until he leaves for South Carolina. So for the first couple months of the season, Tony will be in charge of the 2s, and that starts on Saturday night in Louisville. Tomorrow on the network, we'll have an Atlanta United 2 season preview. You'll get a chance to hear from Jessica Charman with her thoughts on the goalkeepers and on last season. John and I will talk about returning players, new players. You also get a chance to hear from Philip Goodrum and Robbie Mertz. We had a chance to talk to Robbie joining Atlanta this year from Pittsburgh. Philip Goodrum back for year 2 with the 2s. That'll drop on the network early tomorrow afternoon. Later today, you'll get to hear about the GA100 project on the network, also in video form on our YouTube page. I've had a chance to do some interviews with the Atlanta United Foundation folks, with some of the early grantees, and this is a program that is going to build 100 mini pitches all over the state of Georgia between now and 2026. It's a really ambitious project. It's just getting started and got started in a year during the pandemic, which is always difficult. So we'll talk about all that. That's going to drop later today on the network. And as I said earlier, the run-up tonight, 7 o'clock, myself, Kelly Francis, will get you ready for Atlanta and Chicago. Later this afternoon on the Atlanta United YouTube page, the countdown to kickoff will drop with Mike and I getting you ready for Atlanta and Chicago and looking back at Week 1 in MLS. Busy couple of days as the home opener kicks off tomorrow at 8:08 at the Benz. If you got any questions, you know where to find us. OSG Nelson on Twitter, at SoccerDown here, at Jarrett_Smith, at Longshoe. We'll be talking to you. Mucho platiyo.
Mucho platiyo.
Mucho platiyo.